Hi all, I'm so glad that you're joining us here today on the last few hours of Ignite. My name is 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗻𝗂𝗍. I'm a product marketing manager for Security Copilot. I'll be joined today by Heena Macwan, who's a principal group product manager for Copilot, as well as James Key, who is a principal product manager for Copilot as well. And many of you might know him. He works extensively on partner experience. So today, we'll be starting off with a recap of where we've been with Security Copilot since we announced Copilot last Ignite and went GA in April. Then we'll go over some of our learnings, and as well as our product strategy and roadmap. We'll also be highlighting some new resources available to partners, and also kicking off a partner panel with some partners here today. So just to begin, I want to level set and spend a moment on what Security Copilot is. I know that we come in here today with maybe different levels of familiarity with the product. So as threats are continuing to expand across identities, devices, data, clouds, apps, organizations are seeking every advantage to protect against this growing threat landscape. To see more and move faster, they need generative AI technology that complements human ingenuity and refocuses teams on what matters. Microsoft Security Copilot is a generative AI-powered assistant for daily operations in security and IT. Copilot empowers teams to manage and protect at the speed and scale of AI. This Copilot turns global threat intelligence, industry best practices, and organizations' data, as well as partner tools, into tailored insights to respond faster and catch what others miss. Since we launched our early access program, our Security Copilot partner ecosystem has grown tremendously. We've had so many partners join us in this journey of providing the best-in-class security to customers. Our partners believe in the need for AI and security and have played an instrumental role in developing Security Copilot. Our partners are also located throughout the world, helping us expand and bring Security Copilot to more customers. Your partnership is invaluable, and we want to say thank you to each and every one of our partners who has helped test, develop, and bring so much value to Security Copilot. So thank you. I also want to spend a moment talking about some ways in which our partners have been leveraging Copilot in their practice so far. We have some partners deploying Copilot for their customers, so they're assessing customers' environments, setting up what's needed in order to leverage Copilot. Partners have also been offering consulting services to their customers, providing readiness and skilling, and guiding them in prompt engineering and how to best use Copilot. Other partners have been operating Copilot on behalf of their customers, so they've been incorporating Copilot within the customer's existing managed SOC offerings. And we've also seen partners develop solutions that are specific to their customers' needs using Copilot. For example, custom plugins, custom knowledge bases. And partners also have been publishing plugins that they have been creating. So we've been seeing over the course of the last year how Copilot plus partners brings more value to partners as well as their customers, whether it's by facilitating tailored solutions, reducing the time to summarize an incident and respond faster, boosting productivity. All of these have proved extremely valuable. Furthermore, partners who've been developing plugins have noted that doing so is simple. It takes a few days from development to deployment. These plugins allow them to create tailored solutions to their diverse client needs, ultimately creating security solutions that better support customer businesses. And because their plugins integrate seamlessly with existing vendor solutions, they can deliver more effective and comprehensive security. So these are a few anecdotes of how integrating Copilot into partner offerings has enriched and augmented customer security. We also know that these quotes indicate some wins that we've had, but we know from hearing from you that certain things need to be improved on. We might not have every resource available right now. So we'll talk a little bit more later in the session about what we're going to be working on in order to make this an even bigger success. We're really excited by our partnerships, as well as future collaborations, as well as we work together to manage and protect at the speed and scale of AI. So before I turn it over to Heena, I want to tee up some resources and partner-oriented materials to support your businesses. From discussions with partners over the last year, we learned that partners need more materials and resources to support their businesses and offerings so they can learn more about the product and tailor solutions that are as relevant for customers as they can be. For this reason, we're updating our partner site, which is our Transform partner site available at aka.ms/security-copilot-partners. So we are adding an updated partner FAQ, a partner-targeted level 100 deck, as well as solution play-specific materials to really allow you to customize your pitch to customers based on their needs. So this will be going on from this week through the end of December. These resources will be updated. We also, as earlier mentioned in some of the Ignite sessions, we have the recently launched Security Copilot Flight School, which introduces the basics of Copilot to gear up your understanding and ultimately help your customers. Lastly, I also want to highlight some new partner benefits that will be available to security specialization partners starting January 22nd in 2025. In January, partners with the security specialization will receive $5,000 in Azure credits for use on Security Copilot only. This is to allow you to try out Security Copilot and get familiar with our offering. And if you're not today a security specialized partner, you can receive a security specialization in one of these 4 areas: cloud security, identity and access management, information protection and governance, and threat protection. And you can learn more at aka.ms/partner specializations. Later in this session, we'll be joined by 3 partners who are members of our Partner Early Access program. And they've been working with Security Copilot ever since. We have Jose Lazaro Pinos from Performanta, Mona Ghadiri from 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀, and Debac Manikandan from Defend. And we'll spend much more time with them later. But for right now, I'll turn it over to Heena, who will take you through some learnings over the last year, as well as our strategy and roadmap.
Thank you, Vicky. Hello, everyone. That was great, Vicky. Thank you for setting the stage. I'm Heena Macwan. I'm the product manager for Security Copilot. And I'm going to continue a little bit on the reflection piece that Vicky started with us. So, as you all know, we released the early access program for Security Copilot in October of 2023. I'd love to see a quick show of hands here in the audience for those who tried this product back in 2023. Great. And then we GA'd this product in April of 2024. Can I get a show of hands of people who tried this product in this calendar year? All right, so there are some there as well, but there are quite a few of you who've not tried our product. So I highly encourage you to go try the product and check it out. But the key point is we've had this product out for more than a year in the hands of customers and partners like yourselves. And we have learned a lot of insights, a lot of good learnings. And I'd like to take a moment to talk about some of these learnings and what we are doing to solve for some of these learnings. Granted, we've not solved everything, right? It's a journey. We've been on this journey together, and I see many more chapters of this journey unfolding with you and with our customers in the coming months. But in the spirit of looking back and understanding where our top learnings are, and by the way, there are many, I've just kind of called out the main ones here. The first and foremost is that security is the responsibility of everyone in the organization. It is not just the SOC. It is not just the security analysts and the security admins. IT administrators care about security, and even end users should be caring about security. So the number one learning has been Security Copilot should be helping all of the teams and all of the disciplines within an organization that care about both productivity and security. And Security Copilot should be helping with scenarios to make their jobs and their scenarios be successful. The second learning has been around enterprise readiness. We launched this product in GA in April of 2024, but we did have a few gaps in terms of making this product viable, where it can be deployed in organizations and it can be used in a compliant way with organizations, including the partners that the organizations would be working with. So that's been our second. Third learning, prompt engineering is a real problem. We are catering to personas that have workflows, standard workflows in their environments. They use products that help them achieve certain goals and outcomes, and having them start with prompts, having to enter natural language prompts that they have to think about, doesn't really scale, doesn't really help. We also realize that when customers and partners are writing prompts, they get responses that are not very satisfactory. It causes a lot of customer frustration for sure, but also consumes the SCUs, the units, and it incurs costs. And last but not the least, from a partner-centric point of view, we heard loud and clear that we need a multi-tenant strategy. We understand that a lot of organizations that don't use partner support also have multi-tenancy needs, but we understand that with partner support, the multi-tenancy needs are even far more important. So let's dive into each of these learnings and see what we have done this far to help solve some of these problems. And again, we have not solved everything, but I just wanted to kind of walk you through some of the solutions we have already put in place and show you demos for some of them. So first and foremost, we said that security is for all. It is everyone's responsibility. And while we launched, when we started our journey on Security Copilot, we first started with SOC. And we got resounding feedback from a lot of our customers across the board, and even our internal partners, even our product owners from Intune and Entra and other products like Purview, who said that, hey, you know what, security goes beyond SOC, and we should think about how to incorporate Security Copilot scenarios in all of these products. So we made a whole strategy shift. We moved from Security Copilot being a product to Security Copilot being a platform. And the platform is where all of the smarts are, and it powers all of the Copilot experiences that you see in all of these products today. We also did a lot of research in understanding where some of the high-value scenarios are, and we worked with these partner teams internally to figure those out. If you've not already caught the sessions or the demos on the Security Copilot capabilities in each of these products, I highly encourage you to go check it out. The links in this deck directly bring you to the session. The other important investment we made from a high-value scenario perspective is really bring the ISV data to Security Copilot, and we'll talk about that as well. I have a separate slide for that. We got a lot of feedback, and one of the top requests that we had through engagements with our partners as well as customers was understanding the visibility, understanding and having visibility into SCU consumption. Right? SCU for most people was a very mythical concept. We were all used to working with our entitlement-based model, which is, even for all of the security products that Security Copilot sits on, the way we would license this to our customers has always been, hey, here is a fixed price per user per month, sort of a license fee. And on that, we now have Security Copilot that has a very different model, which is based on consumption and has the security compute unit as its measure of unit. It's the measuring unit. And we've heard this from customers and more so from partners to understand how exactly is this unit being consumed every time they use Security Copilot. So based on this feedback, what we have done is created a usage monitoring dashboard. We had a V1 out for quite a few months, but we went back and added more granular information in version 2, and it has been in GA for a few weeks now. That gives a lot more detailed information on how and which aspects of Security Copilot consume SCU. So I'll show you a quick demo on this. As an admin, I go into the Security Copilot standalone portal and access the the menu on the top left side to access the dashboard. Other users that are analysts don't have access to this. Only admins have access to this. And as you can see here, every action that invokes Security Copilot capabilities is recorded here. Doesn't matter where it was invoked from. We have the user that invoked Security Copilot skills. We have the session ID itself, whether they invoked it from standalone, from Purview, from Entra, which plugins were involved when this skill was executed, whether it was a prompt or a prompt book, whether it was a manual or an automated action. So we have a lot more granular detail. And the last but not the least, we also have information about how many SCUs were consumed. And we have it at a very fine grain. It's like the thousandth of the decimal place. We also, like any standard reporting tool, have filtering mechanisms. We have the ability to export this information out in an Excel or a CSV file so that you can do some more offline analysis. And last but not the least, we are also showing in graphics how the SEO is being consumed at a global level. So again, doesn't matter if it's your Purview admin that's using the Purview portal that's consuming it, or your SOC analyst is using it in their unified SOC experience. All of that cumulative consumption shows up in this view here, where the white line on the screen indicates the provisioned SCUs that you have in your environment, and the blue bar indicates how much of that SCU was consumed in a given hour. And of course, if you're approaching like a 90% threshold, we use color change to indicate that you're approaching the threshold, so the blue bar turns orange. And if it crosses the threshold, then it turns red. Keeping with the theme of the monitoring capabilities, another ask that we have heard from our partners is to allow restrictions on plugin usage. Now, this has been super critical from even a customer standpoint. A lot of plugins are being published, and like I said, we'll talk about them in a second. These plugins become available directly to the analysts of the product. And admins want more control as to which plugin will be allowed for analysts versus not, both from a regulatory standpoint as well as from a usage standpoint. They don't want to accidentally incur extra costs. What we have done in our product now is allowed the administrator to have more control on which plugins will be available to the analysts. So let me show you a demo for that as well. The right-hand side view here is the analyst view, meaning that they have contributor permissions. The left-hand side view is the admin view, which means they have the owner permissions. On the right-hand side, on the plugins, you can see there are a bunch of plugins that are accessible to the analyst, meaning they can toggle on and off these capabilities. Now, to manage this, the admin would go again into Settings, Plugin Management, and toggle this special button, which is called Manage Plugin Availability and Restrict Access. When they toggle on this capability, what they're doing is enabling restriction right away. So all the plugins are now restricted. They would have to cherry pick and enable the plugins that they want the analysts to control one by one. Once that is done, you can see on the right-hand side now, the analyst goes back into their plugin view, and they can see all the plugins restricted except the two that the admin chose to be enabled for the analyst. This now provides a lot more control than we had before. Another significant adoption blocker that we heard from our customers and partners alike is the ability to audit everything that happens in Security Copilot. We are building AI for security, but there is also a need of security for AI. Organizations want to know exactly how the AI in their enterprise was used or in their businesses was used. So they want to have capabilities in their systems to understand who accessed what, which admin enabled which plugin, and how did the users use the system. In order to help with all of these scenarios, we have wired in audit capabilities in the unified audit log system. This is a system that most of you are already familiar with, right? You get all of your audit information in there, and you can use existing APIs to get all of that data out and use it in your Sentinel experiences, in your Power BI dashboards. But we also have that same data being accessible through Purview Audit, which is an out-of-the-box solution. If you've not already experienced it or seen it, it's an out-of-the-box solution that you can use to review all of this audit capability. Now, we understand that highly regulated organizations require a lot more information. They would also like to see exactly the prompt and response that was used in using AI. That secondary capability is something that the engineering teams are working on. So it is not yet available in the market, but be rest assured that this is coming. So what is available today in market, and this is G8 by the way already, we have the ability to see who accessed what, where, and when, but not the specifics of prompts and responses. Now, to enable this capability, the admin needs to go back into the standalone portal and through the settings page, enable this capability for existing users. If you are a brand new Security Copilot customer, you have the option to opt in during the first run experience itself. So once you've turned the toggle on, like I said, you can come into Purview Audit, to go and see all of these audit information. The demo here shows the purview audit, and you would have to navigate into the audit tab here, the audit workspace. Oh, sorry. There. I can't tell if the demo has started. My apologies. But let's move on to the next item here. So, talking about prompts. Prompt engineering, like we said, is a real problem. And in order to solve for this, what we have done is created a library of pre-created prompts that give you the right answers. We learned that by providing a library, it makes it very, very easy to realize value with Security Copilot, especially for the ones who are trying out Security Copilot and trying to understand its potential. Instead of putting just a chat box in front of them, it is easier to put a set of pre-selected prompts that can help them understand how the system actually works. Now, we've taken these pre-created prompts from our customers and from our CXCs and from our partners. So again, thank you for contributing to this prompt library. We have also cataloged and organized these prompts according to roles, so it is much easier for users to go figure out which prompts they want to use. And the whole prompt library has examples of prompts that can run on threat intelligence, can run on Intune and Entra, on admin scenarios, as well as SOC analyst scenarios. So definitely check this out. In addition to prompts, we have the automation concept in Security Copilot called as a prompt library. Like I was saying, all of the operations and administration that organizations do, they have specific outcomes that they have in mind. And as they go through their workflows, they're constantly thinking about how they can automate these workflows so that they can make their time more efficient. In that spirit, we have created this prompt book library, which is nothing but a series of prompts, one after another. The prompt book can also take parameters and can execute those prompts one by one and stitch together a story and then ultimately give you a response back. We also have the concept of logic app connectors in Security Copilot. So you can imagine now connecting Security Copilot to logic apps, creating your logic apps, and invoking a prompt book from your logic app. One use case that we have seen popularly used among our customers is that anytime an incident is created, a logic app gets fired. The logic app then has a call to a prompt book that has a set of prompts that goes and inquires about specific assets. So in this case, for example, it would be user. I need to know more about the impacted user, what all access groups it belongs to, this user belongs to, what is the risk of this user from my purview insider risk information. So the prompts can kind of fan off, ask all these questions across different data sources, bring all that information back, and create a summary and bring it right back into your incident information. All right, Vicky spoke about how we're building more and more support for our MSSPs when it comes to their consulting needs or their needs as operators. We also understand that there are two modes in which MSSPs operate. One is that they would have their employees be embedded with the customer in their customer SOC and work as part of their team. And one of the core requirements we've heard in that context is the need for GDAP, delegated access. So today in our product, we already support delegated access model. So MSSPs no longer have to request guest account access in their customer environment. This is already there. The other thing that we have heard is multi-tenancy. For those customers that tend to use scale products like the Azure Lighthouse to manage multiple different tenants at the same time, we have heard resounding feedback that that scenario just doesn't work. And there are multiple gaps there. There is definitely the pricing and the business gap, right? It's exceedingly hard for MSSPs to understand how exactly to price this capability if they were to buy it and give the benefits of it to their customers. And this is something that we are working on with our business team. We are trying to figure out how exactly we can solve for it. We don't have a solution yet. But on the technology side as well, we have heard that MSSPs would be the ones who would purchase the SCUs and have that computing power distributed and operate on all of their customer tenants so that they can give the value back to the customers. That technical aspect is something also that we are working on. We haven't really solved for it just yet. But I wanted to bring this up front today to acknowledge that this is an important piece of technology that we need to go solve for as well as business, because we truly believe that our partners can help us reach the audience that we have established relationships with already. All right, let's talk about the 3P plugins. The third-party plugins, we have an ecosystem of third-party plugins, about 17 new plugins that are being GA'd and 9 that are coming in public preview, and they're across so many different use cases. So definitely check these out. I also understand that our service providers tend to build a lot of custom plugins as well. So there is a lot of opportunity here to market those custom plugins and find a way to monetize them as well. All right, without further ado, I would like to invite James 𝗬𝗍, that you are all familiar with, for the panel. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I just want to reiterate and thank you all so much for taking time out of your day. We're very excited to be able to partner with our partners from a global standpoint, and they're doing so many amazing things. Knowing that y'all are helping us be able to scale and to see scenarios and situations across a wide array that we just may not see ourselves, which is helping to improve the product. This partner panel is allowing us to bring a small subset of our partners here to let you hear what they've been going through since early access, how they've been working through private previews, and really helping us to innovate the product. But I want to reiterate again, our partner ecosystem is very large. We have many partners from a global standpoint. This right here is a small set of those partners. So starting off, I want to go ahead and invite Jose. Jose is from Performanta. Also invite Mona, who is with Blue Voyant, and Debac, who is with Defend. We have Jose that is coming in from UK, a lot of trip that you made over here to the States. Mona coming in from New York, not quite as a trip. And then Debac, man, you've traveled a long way. It's coming in from New Zealand. And, funny story here, first time seeing snow. So, hand clap to that one. Chicago brought snow to him. Each one of these right here are MVPs, experts, and leaders in their industry, doing phenomenal work across our early access program with Security Copilot, and have been there since the very beginning. So they've helped us build, create, and innovate across the board. I want to highlight a little bit that they've been doing from a progression standpoint with innovation. Again, looking at these right here, it's a small subset of what they've done around their accomplishments. They've been part of private previews. They've been part of pioneering AI capabilities and functionalities. They've been part of building out consulting services and readiness and ways of being able to get that in front of the customers and really evangelize the product. Creation of third-party plugins and making those available also to extend the ecosystem and our data sources that we have across the board with that. So again, please, round of applause for our partners up here because they have been phenomenal in making the product get to where it is right now. Now, we're going to go ahead and jump into just a little Q&A here. We have some questions that we want to go ahead and get their feedback so you can sort of hear from them verbatimly how they've been working through this partner private preview piece. So we're going to start here with Jose, work our way down with Mona and Debac. And the first thing I really want to understand is, when you started working with Security Copilot, what are the areas that you saw the most significant integration, the most significant involvement when it came to your business? Each MSSP works a little bit differently. They do different types of industries and so forth. But where do you see the most amount of learnings that came about those areas?
So for me, the biggest learning has been the realization that this is the future. This is what security looks like. For us, being able to reduce the mean time to detect and mean time to respond to just seconds, guys, it's just been phenomenal. I mean, if you look at the traditional SIEM and SOC approach, it would take around 2.5 hours to go through an incident investigation and having some actions confirmed. With Copilot for Security, we managed to do this within seconds, literally 30 seconds. So I think that for us, I think a game changer. And not only we're talking about this, we're showing our customers, people, value. So I can't see a way back after this. This is the future.
No, absolutely. And one thing we continue to reiterate and really push from a marketing and just overall value proposition is the efficiency. I understand that we do need to move at the speed of machine. We do need to be able to see things that others don't see, because as much as we want to believe that everybody uses everything for good, it's not the case. When things are released, people do use those for malicious purposes. And we're seeing that from an AI perspective. If you're going to defend against something that's being used for malicious purposes, you need to bring that and incorporate it into your security stack also, so at least you have a level playing field in those areas. Mona?
I think from our perspective, I think, echoing kind of what Jose said, the amount of change that you could realize has really been earth-shattering. Our focus has been on bringing multiple plugins into prompt books at a time. A lot of the out-of-the-box plugins are really meant to just experience one plugin at a time. But when you're actually able to build together, almost like Russian nesting dolls, these prompt books that are able to run, even complex email investigations in minutes, right? We really are operating at a different scale and magnitude. The other thing I would really say is also thinking about authentication and access has been really challenging and has been really eye-opening for us. You don't really think about all the different ways someone could touch or use these systems until you really start trying it. So we've really been trying to focus on customers taking a small subsection, doing like a 4-week-long POC, being very tight around the types of prompt books they want to use, but letting them be more complex. And that has really showcased, I think, the problem that AI is here to solve for us that Satya had said in the keynote, right? Look for places where you can eliminate waste. And the SOC is full of those kinds of places.
No, absolutely. And following up what Mona said there, I think there's a lot of interest when it comes to partners and also customers alike of really being able to help to see what's happening across the ecosystem, understanding that things are rapidly evolving, rapidly changing, and our expertise needs to keep up with that. There's sometimes a misinterpretation of what we see from a knowledge versus wisdom perspective. And Security Copilot brings a lot of knowledge to the equation. It brings just a wealth of information that you can use and then to augment your expertise, to upskill, to connect the dots much faster. But it's our partners, it's our analysts, it's our engineers, and so forth. They bring the wisdom to the equation, and the wisdom is needed in order to be able to applicably use that knowledge. So we see this interchanging between from an AI and a personnel perspective. It's not replacement, it's augmentation. It's making things better, quicker, faster, more skilled, and more knowledgeable. Because our adversaries, they're not stopping. They're innovating at rapid speed, and we have to be able to do the exact same thing. Debac?
Yeah. One of the biggest learning we had from the adoption is that Security Copilot as a platform for customer adoption wasn't a really, really easy thing because we are taking two sensitive topics. One is the security and the AI, and we've been integrating both together. And it becomes a really, really challenge from a customer perspective, say that, how do we get into it? What are the compliance things we need to check? What are the regulatory assessments that needs to be in place before we start using those platforms was really, really challenging. So we had to take them through a learning curve, not just from the, you need to start using this platform from investment to show a return of show your ROI, but it's also from what is efficient, what can you do with it, what are the capabilities, how is it going to be helpful for you? So articulating that from a customer perspective was really, really as a learning curve for them, and it was really new thing for us to do as well. From a Microsoft perspective, it has been really helpful, and this is my perspective. I would always say that is Security Copilot is one of the fastest evolved platform with heaps of plugins, not just Microsoft products, but also with non-Microsoft products as well, where from day one, there's been multiple plugins helping them. You're not alone. You have partners helping them. You have communities that are supporting them as well. So that has been really, really helpful for us to do that, and that was one of the things that we want to do from our perspective, I'd say.
No, absolutely. I think plugins are a way just to increase scale at a level that's just not possible through other mechanisms. It gives you that ability to bring in the data sources, which enrich the overall environment. It also allows you to meet customers where they're at. We can't just shift and move the way we want to sometimes. We need to be able to fill the gap, secure, increase security posture, and then work to a better model. But increasing security posture immediately is very important. And as we build plugins, we're able to integrate in with either their custom-made solutions or into vendor solutions too, whether it's KQL, looking at GPT, or even API perspectives. So all those out there I think are very important. Now, each one of these partners right here have been part of many different private previews. And we can go through every single one of those and get their feedback on each piece. We just don't have enough time, unfortunately. I wish we did. But I'd like to hit on a couple of these. So, Jose, you were part of the private preview for audit logs. I know you're from the UK. You work with a lot of European customers, lots of compliance, a lot of regulatory pieces. Audit logs, how important was that for you? And how did it help to unblock some of these customer scenarios and situations?
I think it's fundamental because you as an MSSP, you have to make sure that your operations are being tracked, are being monitored. You have to be able to go back and show your customers what it is that you're doing. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of supporting the MISA Association, and had customers coming saying, so how do you know which actions is Copilot performing? Do you actually able to track this down? Absolutely. I can prove all of these privileged actions, operations that happen across your tenant, and then I can demonstrate what is going on. Again, I can look into the decision tree. I can represent graphically what it is that's happening on your environment. And if you think about the next steps when you're having the conversations with your customers, it's all about responsible AI, and having that in place allows you to have that honest conversation and ensures that there is transparency for you to present the solution to them.
Absolutely, and continuing with that right there, along with the audit logs, is around certifications of these different types of regulatory requirements and compliances that exist. We recently were certified for HIPAA, which is huge for healthcare, and then also moving into SOC 2, which is really good in those different areas. And we continue to look for ways that we can unblock customers and partners alike in different industries and different verticals and locations around the world that really rely on those pieces. Because without that, you can't really move forward with a product, unfortunately. Debac, you were part of a private preview when it came to looking at our version 2 of the usage monitoring dashboard, the higher visibility. How has that helped you have those conversations when it came to understanding what was going on with their environment and creating more product confidence?
Yeah. So we also started doing, as Mona mentioned, a POV for the customers to make sure that it's a time box environment to say, you'll be having some XYZ units of the security compute unit, so you can start spinning up, experience the platform. But the biggest challenge we had initially was, I can see the platform, I can use it, I can see the value, but how much is it actually costing me? Where is the cost coming from? That was the biggest challenge for that. So the usage monitoring dashboard was really, really helpful for us, especially the V2, where it had much more granular detail. You don't just see that we've used XYZ units in XYZ time frame, but you also see this user has been triggering this prompt for that specific time frame that bumped up the SEUs. It also shows you a specific, like a visualization graph, so you can see that where is it coming from, which application is it coming from as well. From people's awareness, you also would know that Security Copilot is in 2 different platforms. One is a standalone platform, as well as an embedded experience in Defender, Entra ID, etc. It also visualizes that where the cost is coming from as well. So you can control it to see that we should probably start using more and more on the standalone to use more interactive, or maybe the organization's using more and more embedded experience, so the cost is coming from that side. So that kind of a visualization helped us really, really a lot from giving them a forecasting or a budgeting to say that this is what a cost would look like down the line.
Yeah. And make no mistake, we continue to innovate and evolve and enhance the usage dashboards. We have lots of plans to increase visibility, provide more pieces of metadata in there, and really make it a place that you can truly understand the confidence of the usage that's taking place when something is a little bit unpredictable when it comes to computing units and just how AI works. The better that you're able to forecast, the better that you're able to budget, the better that you're able to create the confidence around it, the more useful it's going to be when it comes to customer adoption situations. Now, Mona, you've been part of a lot of private previews. You've been part of a lot of very unique integration opportunities. And one of those is one that we're very happy to see coming about as of now with GDAP integration. And I'd like you to just give us a little bit of experience that you, Jaime, Micah, and others that have been working with this, because I know I've sent you plenty of trace this ID, trace this ID, trace this ID, and let me know what's going on so we can fix these issues.
Absolutely. So GDAP is granular delegated admin privileges. This is the way that most partners are being recommended to connect with their customer environments today. So our big thing was, how do we create a frictionless authentication experience for our customers so we don't go to them and say, I have yet another access package for you, I have yet another enterprise app that I need you to authenticate. You know, I think folks are just kind of sick of that, right? I mean, Microsoft gives us so many ways, why can't we all just do it one way, right? And our MSSP uses granular delegated admin privileges. And what we found was that by having a frictionless way to go and talk about how we planned to use their infrastructure, it gave them a lot of confidence because we weren't asking for permissions that we didn't ask for before. We were able to leverage a lot of the things that we already had, in terms of security admin permissions and kind of higher level permissions that we have the ability to get. So from our perspective, yeah, it was a lot of back and forth, but I think that's one of the great things and one of the important things about being a partner is if you're looking to get involved in Security Copilot, you need to be ready to roll up your sleeves, right? We are building something amazing here, but it takes a little bit more, it's gonna take a little bit more time to get to the outcomes that we want. And I cannot tell you how much benefit we've seen leaning in and participating in as many of these previews. It's helped us learn a lot more about how the intricacies of Copilot for Security works. We published an entire new diagram around how the inner workings of Copilot for Security interact with each other and go in between these embedded experiences. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for an opportunity to kind of delve deeper or get closer in with Microsoft, start looking at the way those architecture diagrams work, understand the type of impact that those have on the community, and know that your investment is going to pay off in major, major dividends with every bit that you work with Copilot for Security, whether that's with the development team or building your own prompt books.
And that's one thing I love about our partners. From a global standpoint, you're scrappy, you're very hungry, you're very collaborative. The ecosystem is growing very rapidly because of partners. And Microsoft is very thankful for that. We love the partnership with that because it allows us to be to scale like no other. And we understand that we all win when one wins. So very partner mindset, very passionate about our partners, and we are very committed to the partner ecosystem. As we continue growing, you're going to see more and more things coming out around that and more messaging in those areas. So we got enough time for one more question, okay? It's December, getting close to Christmas. Santa Claus is around. Hopefully all of our partners up here are on the good list.
I've been so good
So good this year.
Working hard,
Yeah.
sure.
If you could add one thing to your Santa wish list for Copilot for Security, what would that one thing be? What are you looking forward to most that would make the biggest impact?
I think for my side, what I can see is that you guys have put a lot of work and development into Copilot for Security. Going back 12 months, right, when we were in the early access preview, it was not where it is today. And for me now, based on what I'm getting, the value, the only thing I would wish for is to have a better way for us to control our IP. Because right now, you can use Copilot for Security but into a customer tenant. But what that means is that they'll be able to see the sessions as well. They can see our IP, what we've developed. And as you know, we're a service provider. So if there's better ways of managing that, that would be awesome.
No, absolutely. Partner IP is very important. And as y'all are a very tight community, it is a very competitive market, sort of frenemies sometimes, you know. And it's important to be able to ensure that you have ownership of that. So definitely it is something that I've seen happening, something we've been deeply talking about, especially with partners alike. And we're very much looking forward to that piece right there. I think it's going to allow more partners to get involved in plug-in management, into prompt book creation and other types of artifacts, if you feel more securely about what you're creating and ultimately being able to retain that piece. Mona, what about you?
So Microsoft has been talking about this idea of workflows in Copilot for Security. And I think that the pinnacle of what a beautiful workflow looks like is for us to have the embedded experience be able to take the prompt books that we wrote in the standalone experience and allow my SOC or my customers to have an embedded experience that's guided by the prompts, right? To your point about that wisdom versus knowledge, be guided by the things that the partners already know how to do well. I can tell you how to investigate an email incident the best way that my team knows how. I want to share that with someone in the embedded experience, and today, I can't. That's my wish for Christmas.
No, absolutely. I think that's a wish for a lot of individuals, customers and partners alike, the ability to customize, that ability to be able to say that while Microsoft does a great job providing that generic base level of what needs to be done based upon the expertise, sometimes it's a little bit different for different industries, different sizes of organizations, different regions around the world. And if our partners are very inclined with that, if they're very knowledgeable because of their wisdom, because of their expertise and experience, allowing them to infuse that in is very critical. It's sort of like the same approach that we took with knowledge bases, that ability of being able to flood hundreds and hundreds of documents into a Azure AI search repository and index and search across that. That's something that doesn't exist in a tenant. It's something that's not coming directly from Microsoft. It's coming from the wisdom of your expertise, whether it's internal wisdom or that coming from the partner.
So well said. Thank you.
Debac, what about you?
Top of my wish list would be from an automation perspective, I would say. So right now we have logic apps that can trigger the prompts or prompt books directly or skills directly through that kind of things. But the way the approach was initially built was from a chat experience to have a user triggering, and the permission model also was from a user's on behalf model. But as we started growing, it became in a way where it's not just a manual experience, it also has to be invested more in the automation side of things. So what I'd love to see in the future is to have a managed identity or a service principal type of an authentication in there, so it's not user-based credentials in that space. So it could be triggered from logic apps or some kind of a function app on the API side, or it could be even from any other third-party vendors where someone wants to use Security Copilot's API side of things, they could use a service principal. So from an authentication perspective, to have the flexibility not just from a user account, but also from a managerial team service principal, it's definitely on top of my wish list, I'd say.
Awesome. I've heard of sort of a trend here, automation workflows. And I know a lot of times when partners and customers hear automation, they think replacement. They get worried, they get a little skitty. We've sort of been pre-trained about what AI can do from a Hollywood perspective and so forth. And I think it's important to take a step back and really understand what automation and workflows can provide. Because ultimately, AI is really good when it comes to knowledge. It's really good about informationalizing things. But at some point, it has to make a decision that requires experience and wisdom. And that's where we're looking to do this handoff of being able to say, well, let the AI do this up to a certain point. But then we got to bring in the wisdom and the experience to make the decisions about, do I go left? Do I go right? Am I passive about this? Am I aggressive about this? And that's where that inner working takes place. We can get away from looking at those remedial, repetitive type, maybe L1 tasks and things that just constantly come up that are just flooding our incidences and alerts. Let AI handle that. And the more critical ones, the more damaging of the reputation, more damaging of the employee or customer data, let's focus our expertise on that. Let's get very deep and have more eyes on that, still using the same amount of resources. So it's not about replacement, it's all about augmentation and getting the eyes in the right places. Well, I want to thank all of our partners. Y'all have been amazing through this entire journey with the Early Access program, and you continue to be amazing partners as we move forward past GA. Can I get a round of applause for all of our partners real quick? They are phenomenal. Absolutely. Closing up here, since I have 0 seconds left, unfortunately, I just want to say thank you so much to our partner ecosystem. We're very committed to our partners. We're very committed to making this product better, innovating it, and we're looking for feedback. We're looking for your expertise across the board. So continue to funnel that in through all the channels we make available for that, and we're going to continue marching forward and making this the solid product across the board, helping from an automation perspective, our plugins, our ISVs, our MSSPs, our MSPs, our SIs, partners across the board, we're all in with y'all, and we thank you so much. Thank you for spending time with us today, and hope you have a great day.